Yo, so what's going on, guys? Captain Timo reporting for duty. Just hanging out here today. Put a tweet out last night. I'm like, hey guys, would you like to see? A lot of people are like, Pone, I'd like to see your deep, interesting, real talks. So I'm like, okay, I could do that. And then I said, hey, what would you guys want to, me to talk about? And, it was kind of mixed. There were a couple other random odd people, because, you guys. Some of them were mixed, and some of them were generally around the same area. There was heartbreak, there was suicide, and I'm like, let's just meet in the middle and talk about depression. Whether or not you believe it or not, I'd say the majority of you, if you have not experienced it yet, will experience at some point in your life what depression really is. There are varying circumstances, varying, I guess, levels of depression. There is, it's a heavy emotional state where things just seem to be falling apart, and it's a simple amount of confusion about what you need to do or how to handle it. Something that you're not already equipped with, and you just kind of get put in this hole where you feel alone, you feel desperate. There's so many different feelings that you can feel, and I'm going to talk to you guys because I've suffered from it a few times. So as goofy, random, and handsome as this baby face is, I've been through depression actually quite recently. You guys may or may not know. It wasn't until just a couple weeks ago that I kind of got out of a little funk, and you guys wouldn't know, obviously. I try to entertain as best as I can. As you could tell, my content's been slipping over the last few months. But that is something I'd like to talk about in this. And then at the end of this video, I'd like to offer up advice for those that do suffer from this, may be suffering from this, or in the future may experience it. But without further ado, let's head into that real quick. Oh, looks like Pone's getting some little... Look at that neck beard, baby. Go on. Look at that little... Man. No, Pone, you can't do it. The looks I get, the looks, the head turns, and the cranky-ass old women that see me walking my son in the store... Fuck you guys. I'm sorry, I need to be serious about this real talk, but the looks I get, they're like, what's a baby doing pushing a baby? And I hate it so much. A lot of people are like, oh, you're gifted to have that, Pone. Just take advantage of it. No. 24 years old and I look like I'm like 17. Look at that. I'm done. So, now that rant's over, I'd say the first time I experienced depression was probably when I was around, I don't know, 13, 14. Just recent kid dealing with girls, puberty, guys, school, and everything like this. And I dug myself in a hole because I felt alone. I felt like my mother gave up on me. I felt like everything was falling apart. But I was never in that phase where a lot of people that suffer from depression, they like to blame themselves. People that are abused as kids or, something's going on, they like to blame themselves. They think something is wrong with them, and that is generally never, ever the case. But that is the way that people rationalize why they get beat or why they're depressed or why they're not treated properly. And that led to something. So I didn't handle it as most probably would do, but what I was dealing with was my mom had a boyfriend at the time who, it was a horrible relationship, and he didn't abuse her because I wouldn't have stood up for that. But he would like mentally abuse me, treat me like shit. His parents would come over and he'd make me serve everybody dinner, but I wasn't allowed to sit at the table with them. I'd have to do other stuff. When I mowed the grass, I had to do it like 3 times. If I ever left the room without turning a light off, I'd get grounded for like a month. Or open the fridge, didn't pull nothing out, and it kicked on the whatever the fuck you want to call it. I'd get grounded. So there's so many things. He wanted me to be a perfect child. Ex-military, his girlfriend at the time, she came back to the States with his 3 kids, went lesbian, and he couldn't see his kids anymore. That put a lot down into him and turned him into a monster. And for a couple of years, I was stuck with this guy. I was grounded all the time, couldn't see my friends, couldn't do anything. And he would do it in such a fashion that my mom would never see what he would do to me because she would have never put up for it. But as things got on, I'm like, Mom, how could you not see how he treats me? And she would just straight look away. That's what would happen. He'd be an asshole to me. And she'd bite her tongue and just look away. And I thought she just didn't care about me anymore. So as a kid, I felt like I was alone. I felt depressed. I felt like, I wasn't too special. It just so much built up into me. And this is the period where I started slacking off at school, where I realized I was going to drop out of school. I was, 16 or something like that. And it's just things built up. And during this period, I became cold. And this is what I want to make this commentary about, is because it does not need to get this bad for anybody, and it's affected me emotionally up until today. When I say what I'm about to say, I want you guys to understand this, that I'm not happy about this. I'm okay because this is what I did to actually save myself during a sore situation, but what I did is I became cold. That's the best word I can use to describe this. Right now, I could go the rest of my life without ever seeing my mom again, my father, my friends, anybody else, without exchanging a word, and I wouldn't care. I wouldn't dream about them. I just wouldn't care. And it's simply because I'm not attached to people anymore. After being let down so much, beat down so much, told me I was useless, drop out, blah blah blah, all this negativity towards and aimed at me, I learned to create this shell, this cover, this little poncho to deflect any sort of emotion. So to disallow kind of pain to actually get to me, I'm just no longer in a fuck-giving mood. So I put this barrier up that separated me and emotion, and we're on two different worlds right now. And that's how I feel. Emotionally, I don't cry. The woman that helped raise me, my grandmother, died recently. No tears were shed, didn't go to the funeral. I'm a really closed-off person now, and this was my defense mechanism. This is what I became so that I could tolerate the hard times back then. And I would never, ever recommend this, because the only person that I can ever open up to, the only two people I care about, are my son and my wife. Anybody else, they're just other people. I like you guys because I feel like I can make a difference. And that's a good thing. That's what I'm trying to do today. So I just want you guys to understand that if you're ever in a sore situation, that it's understanding, and almost everybody deals with this. So whenever you're dealing and life seems to just come at you, because it's never just one bad thing, it's everything, and you're so locked in, you don't know what to do. There's other people out there. There are loved ones that are willing to listen. Do not barricade yourself away. Do not hide out of nowhere. Just talk to somebody about it, even if it's professional help, which is not something I personally approve of, because it's just not me. But there's always ways to help with that. And one of the best things you can actually do is let it out. Straight let it out. I mean, it could be a random stranger, somebody you just met on MySpace or something. Tell them your life story. You'll feel better. Whether or not you recognize it or not, you'll feel better knowing. And then you may be shocked to find they've dealt with something similar. And it's crazy. Couple years back, me and Amanda were together, my wife, were together for a couple years, and she did something to betray our trust in a relationship. And that was my first experience with real heartache. I felt betrayed. I felt lonely. I felt like everything was a lie. I felt violent. I don't want to use that word because it just comes out dirty when I think about it, but I felt when you give yourself, and this is one of the most common forms of depression, you see this especially with women, is, you know, I'm not necessarily romantic like flowers or everything like that. You know, I'm still just me. I'll fart under the covers. YOLO, don't matter. And I'm just a person that would give myself entirely to my significant other. In a relationship, you do that without any caution. You jump in there and you give who you are. You trust, you're loyal, you do what you can in a real relationship. And I did that with Amanda, and at that point, my world was turned upside down when she did something to betray our trust. And I'm not going to share that before people start guessing. And if you're guessing like she cheated on me or something like that, it's something more beyond. And it was just it was a rough period of my life. I didn't know what to do, and I didn't want to live anymore. You didn't make any sense. And now a lot of people get this mixed up. A lot of people think suicide. If you think that you're the only person in the world that's having hard times, and you think you're the only person that's thinking about suicide, you're wrong. I've thought about it numerous times. The thing is to not act on it. It's temptation. It's just wanting what's personally upsetting you to end. Don't feel that you're thinking about it is a bad thing. Everybody in their life at one point or another thinks about suicide as an option. But the level of possibility should fluctuate per person. And if you think that is a very good chance, message me. Message me. Talk to somebody you know. Random stranger who you'll never meet again. Do something like that. Because it is a possibility. When people feel like there is no other option or the hurt is just too much, they take their own lives. And To me, I feel that that is, in fact, the easy way out. I don't approve of it whatsoever. I would never, ever do it because life is too valuable, too precious, and we all have our hard and rough spots. Very, very few are limited and, bountiful with lots of money and everything like that. We all have our own struggles. We have all our own problems, and just to know, some of the hardest situations is when you are betrayed by somebody you care about, when you give perfect treatment to somebody else and they don't return it and you don't understand why. You feel like you're guilty. You feel like you're responsible. But the thing is you've got to learn to express those feelings in every relationship, in every situation, every sort of thing that you've built and bottled up. You've got to let that out. It's a fart, bro. That's all that is. You gotta let that thing out. You let it sit inside, you're gonna implode. Not to mention it feels pretty damn good when you do, right? Right? Yeah, I feel good about it. So, even in public, I don't hold back. It makes me feel good. I'm gonna do it. So, I just want to encourage you guys to reach out to other people if you ever dealt with depression, because sooner or later you're going to. Sooner or later someone's gonna break your heart. Sooner or later something's gonna happen that's gonna put you in this situation. Nobody's immune or safe from something like this, and the best thing to do is to express it, to talk to somebody about it. If you're feeling down, you're feeling suicidal, you're feeling anything like that, there's even hotlines for that kind of stuff. And the best thing I could do is to let you guys know that you're not alone. A little story. Back in December, and this is rough for me because it's current, and some people may not understand it and may think it's just dumb to be depressed about something like this or emotional. But back in December, I took a break. I used to consistently post about 60 videos a month. I posted about 2 videos a day for a month, sometimes 3. And in December, I posted something like 12 videos, which was a major drop-off. And it was because I wanted to spend a lot of time with my family. During that period, a couple things happened that jeopardized my job, jeopardized YouTube. During that period, my job was put in jeopardy. I did not know how important consistency was with my channel. So that period where I took with my time, a lot of people were like, "Wow, Pone's not uploading 2 a day. Maybe I'll go find somebody else to fill that time that I used to watch." So people started watching other people and fell in love with them and no longer watch me, which I'm okay with. I mean, I'm not really butt mad about any of that. It's just I made a mistake. I did not know how important that was. Machinima started dropping everybody. Things started going crazy. Battlefield slowing down. So I went from making around $8,000 a month, and that's before taxes. You guys don't know there's 30% taxes you got to take out on YouTube. So if somebody says they make $2,000, understand that's actually $1,400 or something. So when it comes down to it, the situation is I was depressed for a few months. Me being a father, me preparing, trying to take care of my loved ones, keep a roof over our head, and it's much more emotional to me. It's because my mom struggled so hard to keep a roof over our head. She worked 2 jobs, single mother, father wanted nothing to do with me, and I know what it's like living and only eating ramen noodles or wanting some Wendy's and we can't even afford a $5 burger. I understand that entirely, and I don't want that for my family. Not saying that's a wrong thing. Personally, I'm comfortable in that area, but I don't want that for my family. As a loving father and husband, I don't want that stuff. So during this period between December and now, I'm making 1/4 of what I used to. I'm making $2,000, and after that chunk comes out, that's almost nothing anymore. I had thousands of dollars put back for his college and everything like that. It's gone now. Try to catch up on bills and medical bills and everything else. And one of the biggest things I've always dealt with, because things that people used to beat me down with, is that I was a high school dropout, that I wasted so much of my talent. And the one thing that I've always held on my shoulder is failure. That's what I've always felt about myself. I've always felt that no matter what it is, I give up on something, I fail on something, and I do have a tendency to do that stuff. I do have a tendency to give up on things, and I don't know why, and I'm not proud of it at all, but it kills me because during these months, I've been cranky, I've been nervous, these emotions are going crazy, my content's been dropping, it's not been as great as it used to be, I'm feeling bad about that, and I'm just thinking of new and more ideas, new shows, what I can do, you know what I mean? I'm trying to create and get my content back up to where that I can actually support my family, do what I want to, rather than having to set a budget now. And which, like I said, nothing's wrong with, but I still wanted to do what I can. Everybody wants to do the best they can for their family, and YouTube was great for me for a while. And I would beat myself down because I felt like I'm failing. You know, all of a sudden, you know, I was giving them a great life, and now single-handedly in 1 month, everything went from $8,000 to $2,000, and that's obviously without taxes, and everything just fell apart. And I know I'm grateful for having that much. I mean, that's still able to keep a roof over our head and everything like that, but it made me feel like shit because I'm not able to give them what I want. And above all, I felt like a failure. And then I felt like a failure in a few different areas. At home, our marriage was on the rocks for a little while. Last few months, whether or not you guys know or not. But we're having some rough times because I'm trying to save our family. Money is getting less and less, and it's getting to where YouTube can't support us anymore. Here in a few months, if I can't hold on until Battlefield 4 or something else, things are going to get crazy. And it worries me because there's not really any jobs around where I live. We'd honestly have to move, and I don't know how we really do that with no money. So, just all the stress is burning down on me, and it put me into this little funk, this little depression, and I was pretty much, in my mind, stuck between two things. I wasn't going to bed with her every night. She went to bed lonely, missing me every night for like 3 months, because I'd stay up all night thinking about what to do. I'd stay up all night getting mad, trying to play video games. Things that didn't irritate me before, like M16s and Battlefield, were now irritating me because everything was on the line. I couldn't just play and have fun and entertain you guys anymore. Now my family's life and good being is on the line, and it changed my life. And I felt guilty. I felt she went to bed, and because I know she, you know, just being a woman, you know how they feel like things are their fault. She thought she wasn't attractive anymore. She thought she was going to bed alone and thought I didn't care. And I was stuck between two situations, two very hard decisions to make. Either A, I sacrifice giving her the happiness and my time that I want to spend with my family to spend hours trying to get gameplay, trying to think of new things, trying to do this stuff. And I know it seems like YouTube isn't that big a deal, but a lot of these guys spend hours of editing, hours of gaming, and when I'm accustomed to making 2 a day, I'd easily spend 8 hours a day gaming, working, thinking, topic, networking, working with businesses, everything. We easily spend 70, 80 hours a week doing YouTube, and I know it doesn't sound like a big, stressful job, but that's a lot of responsibility, and I was stuck between two hard decisions. I either had to, A, leave her in the bed, you know, not spend much time with her at all when she got home from work, and she'd feel guilty and felt like it was her, something was wrong, and or B, spend time with her and slack off on YouTube, lose even more, and be homeless. So that's why I felt like a failure. I felt like no matter what decision I went with, there was a bad outcome, and I felt like I'm failing. I'm a new father, you know. I can't give my son what he wants. We're either A, going to be homeless, or B, I'm not going to be there to see his most important years. And it killed me, man. It killed me. And I felt like a monster because I had to choose. You know, it's not like accidentally hurting a loved one. It was like I had to choose for between January and couple weeks ago. It was like it made my wife seem like she was second, and it tore me up having to feel that way and make that decision, and it's because I had to do what I needed to versus what I wanted to, and it tore me up, and I felt like a failure. I felt like I was not doing what I needed to for my son. I felt like I couldn't give them what they deserved, and for months I couldn't stand it anymore. I didn't want to live. I didn't want to do anything. I was just like, no matter what I do, I can't give them what I want to give them. And I caught another case of don't give a fuck-itis. And this is where I am today. You have to find a solution for it. During my funk, where I wouldn't get a job back when, you know, I was dealing with things, what I dove into was video games. Video games helped me escape the reality, the harsh realities of my mom and me having problems and fights, her bad boyfriends, stuff like that. Video games helped me with that. Best thing I can give you guys is find a couple of things, not just one. It's not always safe to find one thing to div and just dive right into. I did that with Amanda, and it tore me apart, and then I felt like I had nothing left, nothing worth living for, no purpose. And now here I am, and I'm trying to do what I can, and things get a little crazy. And I just want to let you guys know to never give up. Keep pushing. Sooner or later, things are going to blossom. I've got my future, my life, my legacy is going through with my son. I have a purpose to do what I need to through my son, through my wife, and I want you guys to find something that's worth. You got to find something, a little totem or whatever you want to call it. Find it and make it worth going for. Find something that relieves stress. Go jerk off in the bathroom. I don't care. I'm not kidding either. That will help with stress. Go ahead and do something like that. And it's like, there's so many things you could do about that. And I just want to let you guys know you're not alone, that you need to let it out, that you need to share it with other people. You bottle it in. It's just imagine that as a balloon that you keep blowing air into, and eventually it pops. Don't let it. Life is too valuable to let something like that happen. Reach out to somebody, talk to somebody. Somebody else is thousands of people are dealing with the same exact situation that you are. And that's my story. That's the few situations where I've had heartbreak depression. I've had feeling like a failure depression. I've had family issue depression. I've spent quite a few years in my teens depressed, feeling worthless, and just not feeling like I have a purpose at all in life. And it wasn't until I sifted through it, finally waited till the moment that I have a family that I would do anything for. And that is my motivation. That is my everything. And, you know, I still like doing occasional games, Diablo, Pokemon. I still have that to relieve stress. You can read a book, work out at the gym, punch a punching bag. You see that guy back there? Whoop! There are ways to handle your stress in situations. You're never alone, and I know as intimidating as it is to share it and want to go out there and do it, you should just do it. Don't feel bad, because everybody has their situations. People are just better at masking it than others. So thank you guys for watching. I'm sorry this was a long commentary. You guys wanted to talk about it. I try to keep it as simple as possible and not get too emotional or anything like that. So, like I said, if there's ever a situation, just reach out to somebody. But again, have a good day. Hope you have a good one. Bye.